arrived early. Forzathon Live will begin soon. In 400 yards, turn left. In 100 yards, turn left. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left. In 200 yards, turn right. Turn right. In 200 yards, turn sharp left. Turn sharp left. 200 yards, turn sharp left. Turn sharp left. In 400 yards, turn right. Turn right. Yards, turn left. Turn left. At the roundabout, 100 yards, turn right. Turn right. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left. In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left.
Great to see you. We're shooting a documentary about car culture in the UK, and I need a second driver. You've made a name for yourself, and it would be great to have you aboard. It's simple. You drive, I tell the story. Let's do it. From Aston Martin to McLaren and Bentley, Great Britain is home to over a century of automotive excellence. I'm Rebecca Dawson. Welcome to British Racing Green, a documentary celebrating that history. The Aston Martin DB5 Vantage was the quintessential Grand Tourer of the 1960s, combining British engineering and Italian design. The Vantage featured side-draft carburetors and a refined camshaft profile, capable of a blistering top speed of 162 miles an hour in 1964. The clean lines of Superleggera's bodywork, reclining seats and wool carpets created a car that was luxurious as well as fast. This car would form the basis for the DB range, with later cars improving on the design in many ways, but none would ever achieve the sheer iconic perfection of the Vantage.
In 200 yards, turn left. Turn left.
For all of its beauty and engineering perfection, only 65 of these beautiful machines would ever be built. If you own one, you own a piece of British history.
In 200 yards, you will arrive at your destination.
The silver DB5 would be immortalized in half a century of cinema. The classic Aston Martin. But in 2016, a new DB was unveiled, heralding the dawn of Aston Martin's second century. The DB11 is the first production turbocharged Aston Martin. But is it a worthy successor to that legacy? The short answer is yes. It's bold, responsive, and agile. It's perhaps the best GT chassis in the world. And listen to it. Able to hit 60 miles an hour in 3.5 seconds, the DB11's 5.2-litre twin-turbo V12 boasts a top speed of over 200 miles an hour. The DB11 is not the fastest car in the world, but then it's not trying to be. It's sophisticated, effortless luxury. It's an Aston Martin. The DB11's front strakes channel air to create a virtual spoiler, providing downforce without compromising the car's clean lines. Brilliant. Most importantly, I think, the DB11 proves that Aston Martin is ready for another century of beautiful cars. And I can't wait. Beautiful as they are, Aston Martins are only one of many cars made in the United Kingdom. Let's see what else is out there.
I don't think I even had my max frames up in and all of that. Shit. It's 10 chapters. Anyway.
This is shaping up nicely. Time for a change of pace.
Oh,
then.
it's a bloody
At least
Land
at first.
Rover. I hate Land
The next
Rovers.
segment is about Land Rover, and we'll be starting
Just
out
get an
with
Audi
the Type 3.
Q7. Oh, fucking different. Yeah, this has been fun. Has it? No, it hasn't. Feels like fast, but it's not.
Land Rover, the British sports utility vehicle. But before that, they were actual utility vehicles. Solid, tough trucks, unstoppable over almost any terrain.
In 400 yards, turn left.
The Land Rover Type 3 marks the point where that shift begins. And we'll be looking at what that meant. Land Rovers have taken on almost every task imaginable. They've been generators, tractors and ambulances. They've brought peace and carried medicines to disaster zones. They've even been buses. Over 500,000 Series 3s were built, and over 70% of those are still on the road today. They were extensively exported and built under license abroad. Belgium, South Africa, even Australia and New Zealand. With a robust chassis and signature Land Rover engineering, the Type 3 also marks the first time that buyers could choose interior options, like seat box protectors and cubby boxes.
I've got a few.
That trend continued, and by 1982, Land Rover were offering the county spec Type 3. Leisure drivers could choose from such luxuries as all-cloth seats, soundproofing and tinted glass. The trend was increasingly clear, and the future of the Land Rover was starting to take shape. If you squinted, you could already see the shape of the first sports utility vehicle, the Range Rover. While the stock Type 3 would never be particularly fast uphill, there is almost no hill that it couldn't climb, or down for that matter, if you put a proper winch on it. In 1978, a Series 3 was custom built for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. It only had 1,892 miles on the clock when it was auctioned into private hands. And it was in perfect condition. It would be. After all, she trained as a mechanic in the 1940s and will likely remain the only royal able to strip and rebuild an engine.
Why chance did the Queen?
200 yards, you will arrive at your destination.
Or did the Queen drive like once a year?
Along with the Range Rover, others would follow. Discovery, Defender, and the Freelander. Each a more sophisticated and enjoyable utility vehicle. But none of them were a replacement for the Type 3. They were a different kind of car.
I'm not saying they're shit just because they're slow. Yeah, view a comment, please.
The Type 3 was arguably the first sports utility vehicle, an evolution of the design that would lead ultimately to this. The Bowler Nemesis, an off-road racing vehicle that turned into a production SUV, the Nemesis EXR. It sports a turbocharged 5-litre Land Rover Jaguar engine, crammed into a carbon fibre chassis with integral roll cage. It even has the grille, headlights and rear lights from a Range Rover. want to see what the Type 3 would be like if it ever stopped doing important things? This is it. And it's beautiful. This is an all-terrain supercar. That's the only fair description for this. But that's what you get when you build an SUV with Land Rover DNA.
Alright, what's next? Next is a Mini Cooper. Nope, it's a
Hope you're
Lotus
enjoying
Elan.
yourself. I know I am. It's great to be able to just focus on
Lotus
telling the
is
story
alright.
while someone else handles the driving for once. Let's get to the next one.
Who's alright
This
driving
time,
this
it's
one?
Lotus.
Oh my god, this
Turn
thing's
around
drifting.
when it is safe to do so.
Lotus Engineering Limited began as many stories in British
Lotus,
engineering do,
lots of trouble.
in an old barn. The first Lotus cars were offered as kits. You built them yourself.
Yes.
From
Hater.
1962, they began to actually build the cars themselves. The Elan Sprint showed exactly what they intended to do. Built around a steel backbone with a fiberglass chassis, the Sprint weighed in at a meager 687 kilos parked on the curb. On the road, this translated into brilliant agility and fantastic performance.
An incredible drift.
Designer Colin Chapman famously said, "Adding power makes you faster on the straights. Subtracting weight makes you faster everywhere." He knew what he was talking about.
In 100 yards, turn right. In 100 yards, turn left.
Widely hailed as one of the greatest sports cars of the 1960s, the Elan would be closely studied and emulated, inspiring such masterpieces as the Mazda MX-5. The Elan has all the energy, style, and enthusiasm you would expect. Bold, quick, and fun. So much so that they put it in the name.
Alright, can we change cars now? I want to go and look at... There, that's what
The
I
Elan
wanted.
Sprint was a financial as well as an engineering success
Well,
for
actually, I
Lotus,
wanted to
validating
before-
their approach to design and resulting in a whole family of light, agile roadsters. Which brings us to this, the Lotus Exige. It's heavier than the Elan, admittedly, but it's faster.
Oh, I was expecting
Much,
90
much
to-
faster.
Oh, I bloody well hope so.
Touch the pedal, the Exige responds with instant, relentless acceleration, as you'd expect. With a 0 to 60 time of 3.8 seconds and a top speed of 170 before upgrades and tuning, the Exige is uncompromising. And there's no power steering, so you can really feel the road. A genuinely thrilling drive, and one that isn't afraid to demand you take it seriously.
In 400 yards, turn left. Turn left.
Every day I'm thankful that I'm breathing, eating good. Can't wait till the day that I can get back to the hood. Take a trip back when I could. Don't get me misunderstood. I had to. All I had to do was
I just want to overtake this dweeb.
I can hear them speaking, all they talking about is us. Let them do the talking, I don't bother with it much. I might wake up in the morning to it, probably with it. I know the ones who got me in the clutch. When I'm falling hit the ground, they hold me like a clutch. I just pray this.
Dude, what's the question to that up?
In 400 yards, you will arrive at your destination.
What? Rewind! Please. Just wanna make it.
And with rumoured launches of 2 new cars in 2020, Lotus looks set to
it's
push the
2020 now.
benchmark of the experienced sports car well into the next century.
Why don't we just oh wait, it's another Tennessee. Oh no, goddamn words. That's okay. I'm gonna finish up for this video. Thank you for watching and not commenting. So passive aggressive.